Ashley, thank you. Lots of talk about fixing the I-10 bottleneck in Baton Rouge and Washington Street. Let's get the latest on that and other Washington news. Direct from D.C., here he is, Louisiana Congressman Graves. Great to see you.
Hey, you too. Good morning.
You're headed back right after this, huh?
We are, yes.
Yeah. Talk about that. That's exciting news. There's a grant that you helped get that could fix the problem once and for all.
Well, look, the traffic problems in this region, we've talked about it before, some of the worst traffic in the nation right here in our capital region. We included a grant program in a law that became law in December that allows for a large-scale grant program, hundreds of millions of dollars available. The state is now taking advantage of that program. We included language in it that really helps Louisiana to compete better than other states, candidly. And so we think this puts us on a pathway to address some of the bigger problems like the Washington Street exit where the traffic funnels down to one lane and a number of the other key projects in this region.
Well, yeah, and that would close as I understand it, would close the current Washington Street exit and maybe build another one off I-110.
Yeah, what we found out is that well over 80% of the folks exiting off of Washington Street are actually coming from 110, so they're cutting across 3 lanes, everyone else cutting 3 lanes the other direction, which is really contributing to the problem. So it really works out better for everyone.
And you've talked about this before. This is like the only place in the country where this happens.
Only place in the country where the interstate drops down to 1 lane. It's not a shocker to realize that causes big bottleneck in traffic.
Interesting poll out this morning from Chicago from the Associated Press, and it says that a new poll suggests that the government is to blame for a lot of the anger Americans are feeling right now. The poll says that 8 out of 10 Americans are happy with their life at home, but they think the federal government is to blame for. I mean, are you seeing that? I mean, you're a new congressman. Are you seeing that with your constituents as well?
I would say not just seeing it, but I'm surprised it's not higher. I'm surprised it's not 10 out of 10. Look, it's one of the reasons that I ran. In fact, it's the major reason that I ran, is just feeling that we weren't represented, feeling who in the world's making these decisions. In my previous life, we were out there restoring the coast and trying to protect hurricanes, things you think everyone would be on board with, and the federal government repeatedly was an obstacle in getting in our way. So the frustration people feel, I felt it myself, and again, the main reason that I ran and to get up there and help change things.
Well, and I guess it gives a rise to candidates like Donald Trump, also Bernie Sanders and Ted Cruz. I mean, sort of outsiders.
Well, and that's another indicator. You look across the spectrum of those supporters of those candidates. That represents the people that are frustrated. And I think people feel that there's a lack of leadership. There's not a real strong leader in this country today, which is another reason why I think a lot of people are attracted to those candidates that are standing up and being very aggressive and showing some leadership capabilities.
You mentioned coastal restoration, coastal erosion. You're very involved in that. And, of course, the BP settlement was finalized. It's been accepted. Every reason to believe that money actually is going to go help restore Louisiana's coast?
I do. There was $1 billion that we included in that negotiation that is for economic damages, so that's for loss of tax revenues. Those things will likely be pulled off and used for other government functions, but the rest of it has pretty strong protections in there to ensure that it's designed to restore the coast, restore our fisheries, our waterfowl habitat, and things along those lines that are really important to continue in this, to allow this place to be the sportsman's paradise.
Yeah, and Louisianians hear a lot about coastal restoration. Bring it home for them. Why is this so important?
Look, the reason Arkansas doesn't get excited whenever a hurricane comes is because we're their buffer. We're the buffer between the hurricane and Arkansas. We've lost our buffer. We've lost about 1,900 square miles of our coast, which is the equivalent of about the state of Rhode Island, gone. And so that's why you saw bigger impacts from Hurricane Katrina, Hurricane Isaac, Ike, Gustav, and some Rita, and some of the other hurricanes we've had in recent years. We've got to restore that for purposes of the buffer, but also its habitat, key habitat for our great fisheries, our hunting, and other things that really make this place so great.
As you head back to Washington, what's going to be the focus as you get back there?
Well, of course, this is tax payment week, so so we are going to be.
You would have to remind us.
Sorry about that. So we have a number. Yeah, which just want to remind folks they need to be paying their taxes today. But we're doing a number of bills trying to rein IRS in, depoliticizing the process, and making sure that they focus on truly collecting dollars from the places where they need to collect them.
Yeah, but it's the 18th this year, but it's important to let folks know. I mean, you can file for an extension, but if you owe, you still have to pay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Graves, always great to see you.
Good
we invite
you
to come back anytime to bring us up to date what's going on in Washington. Safe travels.
Hey, thank you very much.
Coming up, our last half hour, tune in. More news, weather, and traffic straight ahead. Don't go away.
Discover the diamond